sure people will arrive late, but we have a little bit of trivia to go through anyway. How many people were here yesterday? Good heavens. Well, it doesn't matter because we're not going to repeat ourselves. If anybody who was here yesterday is burning to acquire the software for the time wave, I still have 3 order blanks left. So I don't know how you can struggle over them or something. Do you need one? Here it is. Anybody else? Here's one, and here's the last one. I'm sort of short on all my propaganda here. There are probably enough of these so that most people and some couples can have them. This is just my schedule for the rest of the year and next. If any of you are interested in the botanical project, there's just a few of these descriptors left of botanical dimensions, so we'll pass these as far as they'll go. Why don't we start them at the back of the room so there's an element of fairness in all this. Does somebody want to come up and start these up from the back? And then more appropriately to today's subject, I finally put aside my better judgment and accepted an offer to lead a tour of Upper and Lower Egypt next December. So if you're interested in ancient Egypt or Hermeticism or the grotesque humor that arises from watching people from Southern California cavort in the shadow of the Great Pyramid, then you won't want to miss this one. No, it'll be more, if we get our friends, it'll be much more fun than if we have to, listen to that lady from Glendale who channels Attila the Hun. I hope she's not listening. I've never known her to listen, so. All righty, right. I'm surprised that there's so much overlap. How many people weren't here yesterday? So these are people with a specific focus of interest on Hermeticism. Is that true?
Well, that was last year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was here last year for the time wave lecture.
Oh, so you didn't need that again, right? Well, all of these things, here are my gloves. How did they get loose? All of these things are, it all relates to each other, at least in the seamless mush that my mind has become. Okay, is there anything left over then from yesterday that anybody over the course of 16 hours is burning to? Yeah.
How did you line up your time wave history? What process did you go through to draw the novelty from history? And did you include all history, Asian and African, all types of history? Or curious about how you found it. Because you said that you could lay it out at any point, but that was the way you found it to work.
Right. Right.
But that's your formulation.
Right. So how did I get that end date? Well, it was interesting. I realized lying in bed last night going over the day that I hadn't really discussed the correlations, the exterior support for the 2012 date. The way I aligned the time wave was simply by having a list of what I thought were the high novelty points in the last couple of thousand years, and then fitting the thing against it, and then when I would get what looked like a good fit, where all the things on my list were in high novelty positions, then I would expand the list and see if it still fit. And then in the early phases, I was interested. I've had this sort of intuition, or the logos told me that every cycle should begin with a bang, literally, and that this bang was the trickle-down resonance of the Big Bang. And I gained support for this idea from, although to call this a source of support, from Finnegan's Wake, where, there are instances of what is called Viconian thunder, these huge thunderous words that begin every new section of the wake. So I thought that I should look at big bangs, and when I looked at the 20th century and was trying to figure out where to start the cycle of this presumably last, but in any case, 67-year, 104.25 day cycle, where to start it in the 20th century, the big bang that I settled on was Hiroshima, August the 5th, 1945. And if you add 67 years, 104.25 days to that, you come very, very close to this December 22nd, 2012 date, plus everything else seemed to fit. And then what, for me, made it more persuasive was that after this was all completed and pretty much set in concrete in my mind, someone pointed out to me that the Mayan calendar ends on that precise date, that day. And this is you can call it a peculiar coincidence, but this whole realm is fraught with coincidence.
What about the list? How did you come up with the list?
The list was simply sort of what you know if you have a good liberal education. In other words, you know the Golden Age of Greece, the Italian Renaissance, the European Enlightenment, and the 20th century. And then you begin looking at the fine detail based on that. When I first began, I thought that the discovery of relativity was it. But that would have made the grand finale occur in 1973. Let me tell you a story, just so you can see how peculiar this is. Yes, so I fastened in on the theory of relativity, and I calculated forward that to try and find the end date, and it ended on the winter solstice of 1973, and I thought that was moderately interesting. It was when you propagated it forward 2 of these 384-day things. So then I went to the astronomical library at Cal and looked up in the ephemeris of eclipses, and I discovered that on this winter solstice of 1973, there would be a total eclipse of the sun. And I thought that was interesting. These accumulated, that's what you look for, is accumulations of density of coincidence. And they publish in these astronomical atlases all the eclipses of the next 1,000 years and the past 1,000 years, and they publish maps of the tracks of all of these eclipses. So I looked up the track of the eclipse of